Howdy all.
How are you, mate?
Buzzing.
Pretty bubbles in the air, eh? I guess the fortune's always hiding bits, right? Anyway.
Well, my dreams have definitely faded and died. How about yours, Steve? We ain't heard from you for a while.
Nah, mate, it's good to see us. But there's nothing good to talk about, is there? To be honest, you can't say, like, none of us were surprised. And it's also hard to be disappointed, isn't it? Because we all knew. We all knew. Like, the board lost us the game before we even went out. So we got... You know, if you go back to the end of last season when we played Newcastle away and we drew 2-2 and there weren't much in it, and we sent out on... It could actually even be the same 11. And Newcastle went and signed 3 players and improved, and it stands to reason you're going to lose, doesn't it?
Yeah, bang on. Do you put any of the blame down to, like we've seen with some people in the media, Mark Noble's tweet causing unrest? Do you think that's caused a problem? I don't personally either. I don't buy
the unrest is the stuff that led to him putting out the tweet, ain't it? That's where the unrest started. Mark Noble didn't start it.
He just spelled it out in black and white, mate. You said, exactly. He just spelled it out in black and white, told everyone the situation. At the end of the day, like you said, everyone was already upset. Everyone was already, disoriented with what they've done and the decision they made, and no one could really work it out. So that was going to be there regardless of whether he put that out or not.
There ain't really even... sorry, Baz. There ain't even I don't blame Moyes. I don't blame the players, because what's the point of us dissecting a game and saying yet again Fredericks and Cresswell ain't good enough? We know that. We knew that last year. We knew that the year before. But yet they're still there. They've not improved. So I don't blame the manager. I don't blame the players. I don't know what people want, because he's only got what we've got.
I think you're right there. The only thing I'm going to say with the manager, and I'm going to use this, we see Jared Bowen after lockdown, probably in the top 3, definitely, with Rice and Antonio, I suppose, and not one of them 4 were our best 4, I think, when we come back. Surchek 5. We watched him make that position his own. On Saturday, he starts the game right midfield, because that's where he's been for us. When he brings Yarmolenko on, he moves Bowen to the left, where he's then out of position. He's starting Fornals on the left. We're seeing it's not working. We see this, we witnessed this with Anderson for weeks. And after the hour, Mr. Predictable comes along. The substitute works. It's Mark Noble comes off from his role. Fornals every single week. It's so predictable. If it's not working after the hour for 1 week, 2 weeks, why are we continuously doing it? You know what the next thing will be? It'll be a personnel change. It'll be Lanzini who plays left wing, and we build on their backs. I feel for these boys. I feel for 4 hours right now, and that I do blame David Moyes for 100%. If Yarmolenko cannot play left wing and can only play right, we need a left winger, which is then the manager's fault. We've heard we had 8 of them. We didn't have one for Saturday, 8, and we didn't have one. Snodgrass weren't even on the bench.
Mate, that's where it's a bit strange. Don't get me wrong, but as we go in through this video, I blame David Moyes for a lot of what happened on Saturday. And I think me and Steve spoke before the game, and we said, right now he should have been putting his arm around Hilaire and Anderson. He should have been saying to them both, you're technically the best players we've got in this squad, and you need to go and step up this season. Get off to a really strong start and go and make yourselves counted and be a big part of West Ham United for this year. And he leaves both of them out. I don't think they needed that confidence knock, mate. I think they both needed to be starting the first game of the season, and he needed to be really backing them and supporting them and trying to get the best out of them. And he's not able to do that. The thing is, you say you don't... blaming Moyes for who started on the left. I think the problem is we haven't got 8 left wingers. We've actually not got an out-and-out left winger in the squad. And I don't think it's Moyes' fault that he had to play Fornals there, because who else do you play there? The other point that obviously you need to make is, if you haven't got the personnel to play that formation, then just don't play it. Because I think we've got brilliant players that can play down the middle. We've got lots of creative central midfielders, attacking midfielders. utilise them if you have to. We all know Bowen can play in there, and yes, I'd like to see him out on the right, and that would be better. You know, we know he plays really well there and was looking strong there. Mate, he was scoring goals for fun in pre-season, so we know that's where he needs to be playing. But if you haven't got the personnel to play that way, then you've got to switch it up. And I think Moyes will always start with the same way, the same formation, the same temperament, same mentality every single game because he don't know nothing else. He has no clue.
The worry is, like Victor's just put there, you know, that's a game with the next lot of fixtures coming up. We needed to get something from. And to enter that game with one man up front again at home is shocking.
Mate, Bruce went 2 up front. He tried to give it to us.
What did he play? 89 minutes, didn't he?
Yeah.
This is Andy Carroll. We could never get fit.
I thought Carroll played well.
I do and all, mate. I really do. And do you know what? He would still do a job. People slag him, and it's the same as Wilshere. People slag them for their injury records, for the money they're on. Now, West Ham have a choice as a football club to agree their terms and conditions. That's not the players' fault. That's the football club's fault for saying, yeah, we'll give you 100 grand a week or 120 grand a week. That's not them. Andy Carroll's situation's a little bit different. When you used to see him taking that money and going out partying, it was hurtful because he's not trying to get fit. Jack Wilshere in a tumble dryer. Trust me, Jack Wilshere wasn't in a tumble dryer because he was injured and he managed to climb in. He was fit at the time to get in there. That's not going to cause him an injury. He's not going to do something to harm his career. He's not an idiot. He was fit for the remaining games after lockdown, didn't feature. He was fit for Saturday, didn't feature. He's obviously not part of the plans. But is that the manager or is that the owners to get that money off the books?
Well, that's all they're doing, getting money off the books, isn't it? You're seeing that again. If the players they've let go, they've not replaced any of them. But going back to the Haller and Anderson thing, Moyes got a lot of credit for putting Arnautovic up front that time. And a lot of us said, well, we got lucky there. But if he needs to do something similar with these two, he should really be thinking like, I'm not getting any players into this club. You're our most talented players. He should be saying to them, what can I do to get you going? He should be looking to accommodate these players and getting them going because they're.
I think he's done this with Dean Garner. And then he's had him taken from him from behind his back. And I think we know that. I think the players have said it. I think he was what he wanted to do with him and use him as that. Probably.
Well, Haller kept saying, didn't he, mate, how important Dean Garner was to his, to pre-season, and he was enjoying playing with someone who could feed the ball into him. And I think that's what Haller massively lacked, and has always lacked. We all know that if you put the ball at his feet inside the box, more often than not, he scores. But we've never given him that opportunity. We always expect him to play like a lone forward. He don't like that role. He gets very disheartened with that, and that's not acceptable for me. I think when Antonio plays, Antonio makes things happen because he works his arse off to make things happen. There's no reason why Haller shouldn't do the same. However, he doesn't. That's not in his character. So you can't just magic that out of nowhere. So you have to try a different thing to get the best out of him. And Moyes is incapable of doing that. I do think
that's the problem, isn't it, Frank? That's the problem, because if Moyes was any kind of manager in the situation he's in where he's got no other option, why is he not getting that? Why is that not happening? Well, he should be like pretty much begging them players, I really need you. He shouldn't have to be begging them. They should be doing it anyway. But he should be really prioritising getting them two going. Again, on Tuesday or tomorrow against Charlton, if I was him, I'd play the two of them up front, go and try and give them confidence. Just say, it's Charlton. Go out there and ruin them. Go out there and ruin them. And if you go and do it tomorrow, you've got a great chance of playing Saturday. That should be what he's doing.
Do you know what he should be doing as well, where he ain't been backed, is resign. But we obviously all know why he won't. He won't get offered another job in football. And Kieran,
but he's got money, isn't he? He's not going to be. He's not going to not be able to pay his cash bill, is he?
Yeah, exactly that. Kieran, just quickly, Andy Carroll, he come off on the 88th minute. He was subbed off. He didn't play 90. Just,
Mate, Tim's put out, the team here should be 3-5-2. Fab, Diop, Oggy. Masuaku left wing back, which suits him better, to be honest. Johnson right wing back, Rice, Surchek, Bowen, Haller, Antonio. I mean, it seems better option to me. And you've been calling that for a while, Baz, of having that sort of, the wing backs and the three central defenders. I just think it would suit us more, to be honest with you.
I just think we're making things difficult. We ain't got the personnel to play the way he wants. That's the biggest thing, and that is, we've got the team to play that way. It's proving our fullbacks aren't good enough. Every single week, we're saying the same things. And when I say not good enough, they're not good enough for what's around them. I don't think Cresswell is a terrible left back, but I don't think he has any support, which is making him look worse. I don't think Fredericks is a terrible right back, but he doesn't get the support that maybe these players will need, and it makes him look worse. So when it's like that and you're so exposed, I think you need to change. And maybe having Fredericks as a wing back and Masuaku as a left wing back, maybe that's better for us. But then you've got to make sure your CDM is disciplined and don't go. Unfortunately, I strongly feel and believe we're going to lose the best CDM in the Premier League, in my opinion, very soon. I think he'll be gone. And then that formation won't suit us either, because we won't have the player to play that role. What we'll probably do then is drop Mark Noble to be in that role, which it wouldn't work because he doesn't have the legs to play that role. And this is what we do every time.
Mate, Noble shouldn't have been playing as that number 10 role, mate. Not in a million years.
I'm not saying you're wrong, but he done well, in fairness, after lockdown in that role. I don't think you could knock him too many times up there, in my opinion. I thought he done better than he didn't.
I think, and I've said it all last season at the end of that. I said that, see what happened in that last period of last season after lockdown, mate. That was so not the reality of football. It was weird times. Yeah. People had come back. Nobody really knew what was going on. And I said it was the worst thing that could happen to us, that form. It was the best thing because it saved us from relegation, but it was the worst thing because everyone all of a sudden felt that Moyes was getting it right, that Antonio was the best striker in the Premier League, mate. People are mad for thinking that way. I can't believe they actually started to believe.
It was a little burst of form, wasn't it, against poor teams, and people thought that was it. Was, mate.
For some reason, whatever happened towards that end of whatever, other people may have just got it wrong to us. I don't know, but we got that after lockdown period. Somehow we got that half right, and it's something just come together and it worked. But I said to everyone that will not continue through this season. And the first point that I want to bring up, which is a big talking point today, which I want to hear, Baz's reaction on the Steve's. Everyone said to me, we do not need any attacking players. Now, I know that our priority is shoring up the defence because we know we need a left back and I know we need a right back. But I really don't buy that we do not need attacking players because we have got one striker in the whole club, an out-and-out striker. And all of those players that everyone was saying, oh, we've got this, we've got that. Mate, they couldn't get near the team last year and it don't look like they're going to get near the team again. Don't tell me that, Anderson is one of our a big attacker. He don't even get near the team, mate. So, how do we not need attacking players?
You're right, and I've said this from the start, and I've echoed this. All we've heard is we need a left back, we need a right back, we need a centre back. All last summer, we heard Anderson weren't good enough, had to go. We heard Lanzini weren't good enough, had to go. Yarmolenko, these haven't been spoke about this summer. All of a sudden now, they're good enough because we're good enough going forward. It doesn't make any sense. Maybe they are good enough, played in their roles, but we still accommodate players and play them out of role. We know now, and we've learned that Anderson cannot play left wing. We know Jared Bowen has got the right wing sorted for himself, and rightly so. Are we going to move him to accommodate someone like we did with Yarmolenko, and then ruin that lad's confidence and maybe make his performances start dropping? We're going to do that? I don't have any trust that they won't. That boy should be our right wing full time, no question about it. We need a left winger. We know Anderson can't do it. We know Yarmolenko can't do it, although he's left-footed. Can only play on the right so he can cut in and have that shot, which we see, in fairness, the goal against Chelsea. We don't have a left winger apart from Robert Snodgrass, who wasn't on the bench the weekend.
The thing is, mate, what you've just said there, and I do make you right, and I do think it's hard to move Bowen from the right wing when he's played so well there of late. But I think if you look at what we've got available to us, and we've said it before with the wing backs and setting up in that way, I do think Bowen is also probably the best creative central midfielder we've got in that club, because Lanzini is so out of form and don't do it for me whatsoever. And even then, mate, people are saying in pre-season, Lanzini's looking great again, mate. I watched him and I didn't think he was looking that good at all against really poor sides. So I don't know where everyone was getting excited about Lanzini again. But if you take Lanzini out, if you've got Anderson, you don't want to get Moyes, just don't want to play him. For me, 4-0s down the middle. Sorry, not 4-0s for Bowen down the middle with two up top is the answer, mate. I just think we've seen it time and time again. When Haller can play off Antonio, they seem to enjoy that playing together in that way. So why don't we see it more often, mate? Why? Newcastle at home was the perfect chance to say, stick two up top, let's go and have a go, let's try and get off to a strong start. And instead, mate, for the first I don't know, 20 minutes, other than we had the Ogbonna's header that hit the bar, they was all over us. They didn't stop coming forward. They was just dominant, mate. And I just would have liked us to have gone out there a bit more positive and, you know, start the season with a bit of a bang, mate. Try and go out there and do something. And do you know what we set up in that game? How England had set up for the last two games in the UEFA Nations Trophy that England had set up. And it didn't work for them, mate. It didn't work for Southgate. England just didn't look like scoring, and I don't think we look like scoring either, mate.
And I think we look like we always concede too. So I don't think defensively we're very good. Not at all, if I'm honest with you.
But going forward in that first half, though, at half time, if you looked in the first, we didn't play well. We hit twice, no one over the bar. Antonio had a chance when he rolled it straight at the keeper. We did at half time. What frustrated me was at half time when they were talking about like Souness and that. They were saying after we hadn't played well, but we had created like chances and could have scored. But at half time, everyone in that room and every pundit was saying this game's here for Newcastle. This game, no one thought we were going to win that game. Nobody was positive we were going to win that game.
I think because what we see was probably at near enough our best. That's the worry. And even Antonio, you know, the chances he's getting, he'll burst through, but he's coming back and he's shooting at defenders' feet. He's shooting.
Always does that. Waste the ball all the time.
And I say this about him all the time. I will never in my life knock his graft. His graft is 110%, but he is so much an instinct player. When he has to think, you're in trouble. And you don't get a lot of time to think in the Premier League. And when you do get that minutes or second thinking time, you've got to be clever and you've got to be good. And I don't think he's that. So when we say about the right wing, if we're going to take Bowen off there in the middle, the only man to go on that right wing for me is not Yarmolenko, is Antonio. That's the only one.
Yeah, I think that's a big point, mate. And I watched Leeds before, and mate, I just enjoyed watching that football. I just enjoyed what
it was a great game, wasn't it?
It was a superb game, but Leeds had no respect for them. They went out there to try and attack and give it to them, and they play with pace, they play with freedom, they play with creativity. They play the sort of football I would give anything to watch us play. They actually play the West Ham football of old, mate. That's what they play. And the energy levels were just phenomenal. And this is people ain't going to like this, right? When people turn around and say, we've got a superb central midfield in Rice, Souček and Noble. I'm sorry, but there is such a lack of creativity in the middle there. It's unbelievable. Souček may be great at getting up and down the pitch, and he may be great at getting his head on a ball, but technically with his feet of passing ability is poor. Declan Rice may have it in his locker, but I'm telling you now, he's been around Mark Noble way too long. He is sideways, he is backwards, he never gets his head up and tries to play a forward pass. Leeds, you watch their players get the ball. Every time they get the ball, they look up and they want to go forward. We are so slow. We get the ball at the back, we look around, we play it sideways, that's all we do. It is, mate, that midfield lacks creativity massively. It lacks pace, it lacks athleticism. And we've been saying that for how long? But everyone all of a sudden accepts Rice, Souček and Noble. It's not good enough, mate. It's not good enough.
Well, the difference in the mentality of the two sides, if you compare us to Leeds, I don't know whether you boys read, but I got emailed the programme before the game. And I read Moyes' programme notes. And he was literally on the first day of the season, it is all about staying up. That is his mentality. On the third, normally you get there the first day and everyone's like, what can we do this year? We can do it. Yeah. The manager talking in the programme notes about staying up on the first. You ain't kicked a ball yet. That's the difference.
He must be beaten as well. Must be. And you know, I do blame him. I'm not going to sit here and say he's not to blame because I think he is. I think the way we set up our performances, I think is a massive problem. But the biggest problem is what's above him. This look at us now. And look at Everton. We always say this. When we got David Moyes and we got Ancelotti, they were below us. Look at them. Look at us now. We've gone one way backwards. We've weakened. We haven't even stayed the same.
Yeah.
All we've done is weakened.
We've gone backwards.
And shorter. And the blame falls to two people. And when you hear Jim White again on TalkSport today, with his comments that one of the owners called him before saying they feel they're being hung out to dry. Well, hang on a minute. Isn't that what they've done to every single manager they've had at this football club, to deflect any blame from them? Now the screws turn, and we've all realised it's them, and it's all coming their way. They're not liking it. What we must do, and I mean must do as fans, is keep the pressure on. Keep people like Trevor Sinclair coming out. Brilliant. With the tweets he's doing. With the hashtag.
That was.
This is what we need. We need someone like Joe Cole who ain't afraid to say what he says. Unfortunately, there'll be people that still get work through the club. And then people who get it
do you
won't
know
do
what
it.
with them as well? When you watch the game there and you see them sitting, obviously we can't go, but when it shows a close up of them and they're there, it winds me up. And I think, like, why are they going to the games? They obviously do not care whether we win or lose. No. Why do they go to every game? I don't understand it. It's like they do it to wipe.
A friend of mine is friends with them, and I've had the conversation with him, Steve, and he says, his words to me, they are fans. They go to every game. That don't make him a fan.
No, it don't make you a fan.
Don't make him a fan. That's their business. No, and this is the same. I'm not going to call him out. I'm not. He's a friend of mine. I understand why he doesn't speak out, because they are his friends, but still, there's no way anyone can defend him. Not at all.
Mate, the one thing they tried to do, the one roll of the dice they actually tried since being owners of this football club, was backing Pellegrini. And I told everyone when he was coming in, and there was a couple of people that were unsure, but everyone else was getting all excited that this was the next level manager. Mate, he was the wrong manager to back. It was the worst thing they could have done, was backing him. A semi-retired man in China who was on his way out of the game, who have never achieved anything in football. If you look at his record, mate, he never achieved nothing. All he actually managed to achieve as manager was losing the title to Leicester when he had an unbelievable Manchester City side. He was absolutely never the right man for us. And the money that they threw at him, and the money and you just look at the investments they've made. At the end of the day, mate, you can try and blame it on Pellegrini, blame it on whoever you want. We all know that they only make signings that they actually agree on. They don't let anyone come near that club that they don't agree on. If silly Jack Sullivan or Dave Sullivan don't like them, mate, we know they don't get signed. Simple as that. So they rolled the dice with it. They tried. And, mate, it's blown up in their face. So, at the end of the day, every single thing that's gone on with this football club, from where we are now, from losing so much money on transfers, from being in the financial situation we're in, from the stadium deal that we've got, the whole lot of it, the whole mess that we're in is 100% down to them. And it's the worst attitude you can have in life, that when you're a business owner or you're somebody of a manager or a director or whatever, is when you can't hold your hands up and take a look at yourself and say, do you know what, I've proper made a mistake there, I've messed up, and now I'm going to go and put it right. But the thing is, mate, they don't want to put it right because they don't want to put their own money into this club.
Yeah, but they just repeat them again and again.
100%. But the only thing that they're interested in is using West Ham United for their cash flow and taking the interest out of the football club. That's the only reason they actually are around West Ham United, because it's the best bit of cash flow they've got as businessmen.
See, the same person I'm talking about mentioned about a forward why we didn't sign Callum Wilson, who scored against us a weekend again. Couldn't have two players or two forwards £100,000 a week. Be a lot to have. Hang on, we had Hernandez, we had Perez, we had Arnautovic.
Arnautovic was on a fortune, mate.
And that's my point. No,
that second deal that Arnautovic had was, I dread to think how much that was worth.
We can do it, 100% we can do it. We won't do it under them, and that's the problem. And it's hard because, as I say, I know he's friends with them, but friendly or not, you still, Andy Carroll, another one, you still, if you cared, you wouldn't want that at your club. No matter what you get from it, you wouldn't want that at your football club you support. And Sam Zini's just put, we need a manager who cares about West Ham nowadays. The problem is, mate, you will not get that manager at West Ham. The talks of Eddie Howe, why would you want to come there? We can't sign a player. Why is a manager going to want to come and be told who he can't play, who he does, who he don't buy? You know, he probably has to ask to fucking turn the light on. It's dreadful. It gets worse week in, week out.
Where do we go from here, Steve?
Obviously, as well, they've got to wait until the... Well, sorry, I was just going to say that it's in the post that Declan's going in the next week or two as well. And even with that, they'll probably, even with the price, if they don't get the price from him, if they do get the price from him, they'll probably say that it's cheaper than what it was because they don't want to commit to spending that money, or they'll leave it too late to spend that money. And this is why I don't understand when I'm saying why do they go to game. This is why They can't care whether we win or lose. It can't, otherwise they would do something about it.
Yeah, I fully agree with you. And like you said, I think it's clear to see that the transfer for Declan Rice will be probably the last day of the window. And Chelsea are going to be clever here, because Chelsea know what these owners are like, and they know that they just snatch money. They're not going to come in now and say, we'll give you 40 million quid, 50 million quid. They'll go till the end.
They could have already done it back on his curtain. They could have a deal saying, listen, don't make it public until late in the window and you can have him.
Wouldn't surprise me at all. Would not surprise me whatsoever.
Mate. And the thing is, and this is the biggest concern, mate, is we've all said everyone who don't invest in the transfer window always end up struggling. Everyone else is moving forward. We're going backwards. And what worries me is I don't think, last season, we could all see that there was 3 worse teams than us. This season, I don't think there's going to be 3 worse teams than us. And that is and what they will do is they will hold on to Moyes. He's just brought in his new coaching staff. He's brought in his new fitness coach. He's brought in Stuart Pearce. There's no way if Moyes could go and lose the next 7 games, he will still be in a job. Never, ever get rid of him until Christmas. We've got him until after Christmas. And by then, mate, it could be too late. We could be so far off the pace that there's no way back. And every time they tried to make that change, they've got out of trouble. I'm not sure they're going to this time. And I think we are bang in trouble.
I don't think so. And it will get to the point with how things are publicly now. Because, listen, we've always been the talk, but it's only ever been fans. We've now got former players. We've got current players. We've got the club captain talking out about these now. If you're a professional footballer wanting that next step forward, you ain't going to want to join West Ham right now. There is no attraction except for wages. We read in today, we're going in with another bid for the Burnley fella, James Tarkowski, whatever his name is. Can't pronounce it. A 4th bid for a player, or 5th bid, whatever it is, who has blatantly said, don't want to come. So if he comes now, it's only going to be for money. We don't need someone like that now. We need someone who's going to wear our shirt and fight for us.
Mate, we've got enough of them.
Mate, that could be one of the kids who coming through and proving he wants to be a professional footballer. That might not need to be a £35 million player from Burnley. We're showing desperation signs. This is what they're getting to. And I've said it before, I don't believe it. I also believe they think Burnley won't accept the bid. I do think that. I would love, and I mean love, Burnley to pull their bluff, or call their bluff, I should say. We'll have it and watch them fold like a cheap tent. They'll find a way. Wouldn't surprise if they'd done that, then he found a medical. And West Ham would find something, because they would shit themselves. They ain't paying £35 million for him. Not a chance in the world. They're certainly not.
Well, if they are, it's going to come out of the Declan money, isn't it? As well. Exactly. They're not going to be paying for it.
But do you know the problem with that?
Money for Declan. That's where it'll come from.
And that's why they want full cash up front.
Where do we go from here, Steve? Because obviously it was a terrible, terrible start. We've now got... I don't buy into this. It's the most awful start in the world. I think you should be looking at beating teams not beating, but you should be able to compete against teams like Wolves and Leicester. If you're writing them games off, then you might as well not bother with the season, mate, because at the end of the day, those are teams that you should believe you can go out there and pick up points from. But, we have got a tough start. How do we turn it around? Is there anything that you can see coming, anything that Moyes could do with what he's got available to him? Is there any way out of... we're 1 game into the league and we're already talking doom and gloom. Is there anything we can get out of this, or any positivity we can draw on?
Well, that's why I think tomorrow's such an important game, because you can have a look at them players. I think trying to get Anderson and Haller going is if, and I think you should just give them tomorrow. He should actually say tomorrow, how do you want to play? We'll play how you want to play tomorrow. It's a League Cup game, lower league side. Go out there, and then get them going and get them. And to be honest, Saturday, we're all looking at Arsenal thinking, yeah, we're going to get beat. But I think that game at the end of the season when we went to Old Trafford and played like that, if we use that as a blueprint for going to away games and playing that positive and trying to get at people, I think we'll be all right. I'm not really worried about going to Arsenal, because the last few times we've gone there, we've actually had some pretty positive performances. We've been unlucky with the results. And I expect a better performance than we got on Saturday, to be honest. I'm not really... And if you lose, you're not surprised either. So To me, it starts tomorrow.
How do we get a different performance, though, Steve? Because if you do the same things, you're going to get the same results. You have to change. What does he change? How do we change? And why will we get a different performance? And why will we get a different West Ham against Arsenal?
Because it's a big. I just think Haller and Anderson, the ones you got to get them in, and you got to get them going. And I think if they go to Arsenal, it's a bigger game. Maybe they see it as a free hit or whatever. It does need to change something in the. I mean, Fornals was invisible on Saturday, weren't he?
He's been invisible for a while, mate. Everyone bigs him up. He's been invisible for the last 10 games for West Ham.
The only thing I'm going to say, as tough as these fixtures are that are coming up, it's just so typical West Ham to go and win 1-2 of them and draw one. It's what we've always done. You know, Newcastle was the winnable game. We got beaten. The unwinnable game will be, I'm going to give an example, Arsenal the weekend. This is what we do. It's not different. And this is where the manager always gets out of jail and all when it's bad. We'll go and nick one of these games and it will all be forgotten for another 2 games. We've done it last year. We won at the Bridge. It was all forgotten for a couple of games. We won at St Mary's. All forgotten for a couple of games. That's what West Ham have always done. You know that. We've all seen it.
We have, but I'm not sure. Though, in the end, that stops happening. And even when you do, it's still not enough. Like when we went down, but we beat Chelsea at home 1-0 and Di Canio cried and everything else. In the end, even winning those games don't become enough. The odd game where you turn up and you get a massive result, if you're losing all the other games, mate, ain't going to be no good to us. So, massively concerned.
And I do think we've got a massive, long, hard season ahead. I do think that because of the state of the club.
Yeah, we all know, don't we?
Yeah.
We all know that because we're in a terrible state.
I still believe we'll cause a shock where we shouldn't. We've always done it. And the difference, like you said now, we've always seen 3 worst teams. If I'm honest, and this, I don't want to be...
Do you think there's any way... Would you think there's any way they went on Saturday and thought, you know what we're trying to do is not going to work and they'll actually do something about it this week?
No.
You think they could sit there and think, we've got to give him something?
No, because I don't think he knows. Don't think he knows anything else.
That's what you've just said.
His personnel. The only change you'll see is personnel, and you'll be seeing players accommodated. Now you might see Yarmolenko start instead of Fornals.
No, but I'm talking about Gold and Sullivan watching that. Gold and Sullivan watching that on Saturday.
You know what?
We can't not
every
give this
time.
the money.
Every time we've put massive pressure on them, they've had to go out and do something.
Yeah.
And to be fair, well, it's not to be fair, but they do it for a reason. But like when the Burnley thing happened, and when things really start to get bad, normally they go out and they do have to go and make a signing or do something. But I said it about 6 months ago when all of the things started to bubble up and things started to get bad. When they used to try and put out a press release, or they used to try and put out stuff through their puppets that sort of speak all their agenda and everything else, every time things used to get bad, they used to try and do something to pacify the fans. And they stopped doing that about 6 months ago. And I'm not sure they are going to go and make a move this time. I'm not sure they are going to go and make a signing. I'm not sure they're going to do anything, mate. I just think they're letting it play out, mate. And it's a massive, massive worry.
Yeah. I do think as well, because when... Go on, Baz. Sorry, mate.
Go on.
Because now they seem to have changed even further now. Because when we first went to that stadium, their priority was to get new people into that ground. So the people that had the season tickets and stuff at Upton Park, they knew they were a given. And they prioritised like other fans, casual fans trying to get... But they seem now to have even turned on them. They're not even like trying to keep them there anymore. The casual fan only go... Now they couldn't give a monkey turn up on that. This is what it is. Get on with it. It's crazy.
The only thing I'll say, Frank, in what you're saying, I agree with you. But I think this is why they're going. And that's what I'm saying. I really hope Burnley put our bluff. Because I don't believe they want to be putting these bids in. That's why they're so low. If they
go and sign him, if they go and put the money up, Declan Rice is going.
I think he's going anyway, mate. I think you can... If Declan Rice is in a West Ham shirt, the day after the day when the transfer window shuts, I reckon we'll all be shocked. And I'll
definitely.
say...
Also, you've got to look at as well. With Declan last year, people want to say, we stayed up and we've done... We got 38 points last year. I think it was, weren't it? 38, which in many seasons wouldn't have been enough. And that was with, can you imagine what we're going to get if we got the same team without him? I can't see us getting 38 points.
No, not a chance. No chance at all. And if you're him now, why do you want to stay? What is happening?
You've got to be honest, you know.
And this is,
all the times when players leave our club, you get to a point and you sit there and you go, I really don't want him to go. Literally everyone is like saying the same thing. If he goes, good luck to him. Even if he goes to Chelsea. No, when Lampard went to Chelsea, we hated him. But if Deck goes there, it's such a state that we're all actually patting him on the back, saying, "Go on, boy, good luck." That's how it's changed, isn't it?
If they were clever, right, and this is where they're stupid again. If they were clever, right now they would be having offers out for Declan Rice to stay to try and shut the fans up. Declan, there's 80 grand a week, 100 grand a week. We want you to start the football club, because then if he does go, it looks like it's him that's forcing the move. Right now, the only people forcing that move are them. They're not helping him. They're not trying to keep him. They're doing everything possible to make it look like that boy wants out of this football club, so they don't look the bad people. Come forward, because you know what, and I mean this, I honestly believe if they step forward right now and went, we'll double your wage for a season, give us till next year, see what we can do. We've got this person, that person coming in. Do you know, I honestly believe he would stay. I honestly believe he would. I don't believe he's leaving West Ham for money. I don't believe he'd stay for only money. But he'd stay if you prove to him you want him. And they're doing none of that. All they're doing is letting the talk continue about Chelsea coming in for him without trying to keep that boy at the football club. It's fucking disgusting.
That's interesting, mate, because a lot of people did turn around in the end after Saturday's game and start to knock where his head's at. And that's the first time we've seen that. And mate,
you just play well.
I get it, but what I'm trying to say to you is that what you've just said could be, you know, what they're trying to achieve is to make it look like it's not them doing it and it's him who wants to go. And
they do this to everyone, and they're fucking crying wolf today to Jim White on the phone. We feel like we're being hung out to dry. Have a look what you've done for 4 years in the London Stadium. You've done it to every fucker. Every single one. You've told people of Marko Arnautovic's problems, his gambling problems. The man probably didn't want people to know. You know, he rung me when I DM'd him that time. He rung me and told me why he had to move. I didn't put on social media. Why? It's not my place to. Fucking West Ham, ITKs did. West Ham made sure that people knew what was wrong with him. West Ham made sure Slaven Bilic stood on that sideline looking a complete and utter wanker every week with no backup. Done the same to Pellegrini with all these signings. Now the stories come out. He had a £200 million off us. You ain't even paid the bill. You ain't even paid your half the fees that he had. So that 200 million is probably 150 a year. Stop telling lies. They're scum. Complete and utter scum. And all they do is drag this football club through the shit week in, week out. And when you've got someone like Trevor Sinclair, who isn't even, and I mean this with respect to him, a West Ham legend in our eyes, coming out saying, I understand what them fans want. He was only with us a few years, wasn't born here, didn't come through the academy. He understood from playing for us for a few years. He knew what the fans want. We don't want a lot. And he's coming out saying and tweeting GSB out. If you can't back him and you can't back your manager, move on. They're out their depth. This is where the problem is now. They've taken on something too big and they cannot deal with it and they cannot take it forward.
Can you remember, Steve, because we've been going West Ham a long time, but you've been going a lot longer than I have. Can you remember any time, even after relegations, even with the bond scheme that was going on, all of those things, can you ever remember a season where we've started this negatively, where there's been this much sort of lack of belief around the club? Have we ever been as bad as this?
No, I've never seen it like this, mate. To be honest. And to be honest, they're lucky at the minute because we can't go. Can you imagine if that ground won? People going berserk. And there is, like you say, you know, the first game of the season in the programme, your manager's talking about staying up already for the plays in a 60,000 stadium and move to go to like bigger and better. That just about sums it up. The manager knows he's you know, and when I said, I just want to clarify, when I say about Moyes, and I don't blame him for the game the other day, I'm not saying Moyes is doing a good job. The reason I don't blame him, and I don't see the point of complaining about him, because I personally think he shouldn't be there, but he is still there. Nothing's been done to change. And that's why I like him, because he is literally with his hands tied behind his back. He's obviously been told to shut his about all stuff with D and go and that, so he's got his mouth gagged. He's on an hide into nothing. So there is, like, we've said before, we're in stadium, a lot of people don't want. We've got owners no one wants. We've got manager no one wants. We've got a load of players no one wants. And we're going into the new season and we're not going to get any new players. And, yeah, I think this has got to be the worst start to it. I've never known a season when on the first day, no West Ham fans looking forward to it. I've never known that. Even if you think, like, the first day you can go to the away game. I went Old Trafford and Anfield the last few years of the season, got 0. But I still had a good day out with my mates, had a drink. But we can't even have that anymore. So it is the worst time ever, yeah. And I think there's an air of... Sorry, mate, go on.
Is that just because we can't go, or even if we could go, do you think everyone would feel the same?
No, I think everyone would feel the same. But obviously, because we go, take as well that social side of it, and the reason, like, we go... Anyway, because we don't go to West Ham because we want to go and see brilliant football and we think we're going to win anything. We go because we have a beer with our mates and whatever happens, don't we? But we haven't even got that this time.
And you said before, Frankie, they get out of jail, and they're getting out of jail now, the fact that fans can't go. If them fans were in there Saturday, the minute Newcastle scored their second goal, and I know the way things are now, that ground would have exploded. If everyone was there still and all allowed in, it exploded. Worse than Burnley.
Probably after the second goal, yeah. After the second goal, it would have. Yeah.
100%. The time that second goal went in, it would have exploded. And right now, the state of that club is worse than it was when it happened against Burnley. They're getting away with it once again. But what they're not doing is they're not avoiding the negative publicity that everyone's doing on social media, that people like Sinclair again ringing up TalkSport saying today, this is everything we need. And as a fan base, we have to be consistent. We have to be on it 24/7. If they feel hung out to dry right now, brilliant. Let's wait until they're dry completely and they're just hung there on their own. That's the best day this football club will ever have in its history. Probably better than the last FA Cup win back in 1980. The day them two free get out this football club will be the biggest success this club's ever had. Because right now they're destroying everything about it. Everything.
No, mate, you're right, mate.
But I do think when you say they're about destroying stuff, and one thing that is positive, Frank, when you say that, I think what we're seeing at the minute, it makes me think like West Ham as a fan base and as a club is still there. There's still a massive support and people are really caring. And when the players have come to tweets and what Noble did and people backing it up, that's given me a sort of buzz again. I'm enjoying that side. I'm glad that finally there seems to be a proper collective response to this happening. I think is the one real positive thing of it.
I do agree with you, mate. But I think the biggest problem that we've got is that we are all together. We're all on the same page for once. We all want the same thing, and I don't think there is that undercurrent of people who think they should stay now. I think we're all on the same page. They have absolutely got to go, and the quicker we cut them out of this club, the better. But no one's prepared to stand up and do something because of the current climate and the situation we're in. And then what happened, obviously, today with limiting people to be no bigger groups than 6, I think that's kicked it even more, mate. And I just think it's so hard for us as fans to get what we want all the time, that we've got to be sitting indoors and can't get over that ground. I think if we were allowed in there right now where they was there, I think we'd be marching straight round, and I think it would be Burnley times 10. I don't think we'd let them in the stadium, mate. I really don't. And I wouldn't if I could walk over there tomorrow in a big group, I would march down there and I would block the roads and I wouldn't let them in that stadium. I wouldn't have it. But this,
they'll be sitting there right now thinking, how they 100% they will. And this is all part of their plan. And it goes back to the selling the football club with the stories. Yes, I see stuff like, and as I said before on it, but I don't believe it to sell all the while they're a Premier League club. Jim White said again on TalkSport today, they mentioned about it, and they said they're not going anywhere for now. The second that club does not have the income of a Premier League football club, you will see them go. Their skin is so thick. And while we can't get there as fans, they've got everything going for them. The second that time changes and the pressure's on, you might have a little bit of difference. Unfortunately, like I think we've all said, I think that'd be too late. I don't think we'll be back to football games this year. And we could be in big trouble come December. big trouble. Because let's be real here. If Declan Rice doesn't leave this window, and it goes as we all think we do, and come 7-8 games into this season, we ain't got many points, and we're in that bottom 3. The closer you get to Christmas or that next transfer window, it'll be gone in that. You don't survive then. 100% you won't survive if you lose your best then. And that's when it will go mad. And that's
if you're looking now at, we've basically lived off the fact that there's been 3 worst teams for the last probably 4 or whatever. Do you see 3 sides this year that you think potentially will finish below us? I suppose Fulham, maybe West Brom. But Villa have strengthened.
Villa are looking good sides.
Strengthened.
3 sides. They're the only 3. Fulham, West Brom.
Who's that, Baz?
Fulham, West Brom, and I think Brighton will struggle. They're the only sides, I think, with us. I don't think they're all worse than us, but I don't think they'll be. I think us 4 teams will be in the bottom 5. I don't know who the 5th team would be, but I think we'll be in it, us 4 of us.
But you say that they're like could be worse than us or whatever, but they haven't got the weight around them that we've got. They've not got all this negativity. They've not got all the pressure on the top. So that's massive.
Their club captains coming out, slagging off their owners, making statements about them. No other club has. And they're the things.
No.
And I said, and I hoped Saturday we would have seen a reaction where all them players played for that manager. And that manager done it for the fans. I didn't see it. I don't see it coming now. If you was going to do it, it would have happened.
Did you
then.
think, though, when you watched that and you said you wanted to see him do it, did you feel that, like, the effort wasn't there? I didn't really feel that. We just weren't good enough.
I don't think we were good enough.
I wouldn't say people weren't trying. I just thought we're not good enough.
Yeah. I do think we was trying, but I don't think we were good enough. And the reason I don't think we're good enough is I don't think we're good enough to play the way we're set up. That's the biggest thing. And when you try to overcomplicate it, you get caught out. And that's what we're trying to do. We're not a good club. We are not a brilliant football team. We don't need to play 4-3-3. We're not Liverpool. We're not
before yesterday, mate. The majority of fans that I spoke to and the majority of fans that I saw on social media felt that we had a squad good enough to be a top 10 side. So what's changed?
I don't think people are honest. That's my opinion. That's my honest opinion. I don't think they're being honest with themselves. Mate, we think we've got a squad of top 10.
That's mental.
It's because of what we're told. We live off of the promises we were told. We live off a player with a £40 million price tag. They're things we come off of. And when you've got that, and you hear it from outside fans, why are you lot moaning? You spent money the last couple of windows. Look what we bought. What have they done? It doesn't matter who you... Mate, you could spend £100 million on someone. If they ain't good enough, it's irrelevant.
Yeah, I said to Frank before the game, if they'd have said to you last season, at the beginning of last season, this will be our bench, the first game next season, you would have looked on, fuck me, who have we signed? We must have signed amazing players for all these to be on the bench. But they're all on the bench because they're useless. They haven't delivered.
Yeah. And that's
what
the worry.
What did you make of...
Of what?
What did you make of what Souness said about Noble?
I think it's a piss take. I think it's a joke again.
When he said he felt he let him down.
Yeah, I think it's a joke. And again, but I think these are all people that are, he can't say too much. He cannot come out and say, I think Mark Noble was right. He'd have to be doing a formal apology like the guy on Sunday Supplement had to. No one can slag these people off in public. The only place you can is on Twitter or on a radio station, it seems. If you say it on TV, I don't know how Joe Cole ain't been forced to make an apology yet. But he hasn't actually dug at them as such. He's just been honest with things. He hasn't said what they've done. I think he's wrong. If anybody thinks what Mark Noble's done outside of West Ham or even in West Ham, what Mark Noble done is wrong and a distraction, I think you're crazy. The man's lived with this for 4 years. Week in, week out, we've seen videos posted of him. We're not run like a football club anymore. And then the laugh on the end, taking the piss out of him. No, week in, week out, we see that.
Yeah.
There's something, and now you should be saying that. Oh, hang on a minute. All you've done is slagged him off for years for what he said when he believed it at the time, like we all did. We all bought into it. He's a fan. He's a professional footballer. He's probably not allowed to say what he said the other day. And I'm sure as eggs are eggs. And you commented on his tweet, Frankie, about it being deleted. It won't be there long. If that didn't get the interaction, it did straight away. it would have gone.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, too many people see it. Too many screenshots would have been taken and shared. And that's why that tweet stayed up. And I respect him. I honestly respect him wholeheartedly for saying how he feels. He wasn't the only one. Jack Wilshere is another one. You know, and the manager sits in.
Well, I read his program notes as well, and he basically said like we all need to stick together. I think he made another little as well, because he listed every player that's left over the sun. Sort of said like you know, I want to wish them all the best, but he listed like one after the other how many there was that have left, and I think that was a little dig at him as well.
Massively,
without saying it in so many words.
But why would you not? You know, he's only. Was this Noble or David Moyes? Sorry. Steve? As he froze?
You froze up there, mate.
Who wrote that? Was it Moyes or Noble?
Mark Noble's program notes.
Yeah. And you know, he's a fan. Why would he not say it? We all say it week in, week out. It's disgusting. You know, and all these, we got the, Frankie, you put the picture on, the day or 2 days after his tweet, the letter that's come out, the team and Mark Noble are looking forward to X, Y, Z. It's all rubbish. His name's attached to things, which I've said for years, when people have said, why is this bald puppet saying this? Why is he saying it? It's not a bald puppet. It gets no choice to things that are said. Now, if he could, I'm sure he would have said what he said a long time ago. The cake's now been iced. And that's the problem at West Ham. And that's why I've said earlier on, why would any player want to join him? Why would any manager want to join him? Nothing.
Mate, there's a big event that's just about to take place that I think no one's really seeing what the potential of what might happen literally just around the corner, mate. And Charlton's got a little bit of a buzz around them at the moment. They've got new owners that are coming in with a lot of money. And the money is there in the bank, and they're very excited for the new season. They had a superb result and a great start to their season. They're going to come down there, mate, right up for Tuesday night. Should that go wrong, which fingers crossed it doesn't, because I'd be gutted to go out of another cup early doors to lower league sides. But should that happen, mate, what's the reaction going to be like? What's going to happen? Because to me, that would be like a bomb going off.
I think they'll get away with it, Frankie, because of not having fans. I think they're getting away with it all when it's like that. They probably don't care too much what's right on social media. I'm sure they don't. They're too fixed.
I'm not sure everyone will sit. I've said to you, I'm trying to be responsible at the moment. We're all trying to be responsible. I think a lot of the potential groups that could call some action on to sort of, you know, make a stand against this situation are trying to be responsible with the situation that's going on. But I just feel like that could be the push over the edge, mate. I just think losing to them would be
so bad. And this is how bad it is for me now. This sounds really wrong. I sort of hope they lose to Charlton, so it gets like that. I don't ever want to see West Ham lose, but I hope they do, if it's going to go like that, to go against the owners. I don't wish them any success. And
that's interesting, Baz. I want to ask you that question because Daniel James just put, if Moyes doesn't put out a strong squad for Tuesday, there'll be a lot of turning on him. What do you think he'll do? Do you think he is going to come out and put a strong team out, or do you think we'll see a lot of...
I don't reckon he's going to have much choice. I reckon he's going to be told. And I believe that's been the case for a long time. I believe that's why West Ham haven't had cup runs. There's a reason why. I'll go back to the AFC Wimbledon game and people will say there was enough on the pitch to win. I totally agree. I don't disbelieve that whatsoever. But I can't remember the midfield that night. I'm sure was Obiang and Noble, I think. And Rice was on the bench. The only good midfielder at the club at the time. And we knew it didn't work before. So why was it going to work against them? All them players had to come in and accommodate positions. And that's the only thing for me. So for me personally, if he goes and plays kids and they get beaten, that's ruined any chance of them getting in the first team. If he plays the first team and it gets beaten, it will just prove how good we really are. And it might make them people who think we're going to get in the top 10 stand back and go, we ain't all that really.
How do you think Lee Bowyer would be in that changing room, mate?
Easy, mate. Whoever's playing West Ham, easy.
He'll have them right up, won't
Be
he?
in their face. Be in their face.
I think they'll be rubbing their hands.
Massively.
Mate, I think Bowyer's going to be screaming it. I think he'd love to get one over on our ball, mate, and one over on West Ham. I really do. I know he's West Ham. I just think he will. Interesting comment there, Baz. Paul just put, to be honest, mate, Charlton won't make any difference. We're going to bust the gut to do something. Do you get that? I'd love to know what that something might be. Really intrigued by that comment.
The problem for me is I don't think West Ham are going to be hungry enough. I think someone's just put a comment there about Declan Rice being rested after the international as well. Also, are they going to rest him because they don't want him to be cup tied? Chelsea. I'm not saying Chelsea are going to be up for the Carabao Cup, whatever it's called, but there'd be a chance. And I'll go back. As Kent Hammers has just put, we went to Arsenal in a quarter-final of a cup. They've got a weakened team out, and we was weaker. We didn't even play our strongest team. That's the ambition, and that was under David Moyes. That's the ambition of the club. I don't believe the managers get too much say. And I'll go back to the AFC Wimbledon thing. You know, their football games, yes, we should be winning. We've always lost to littler clubs. You know, that's why West Ham get picked for cup games on TV. It's happened. But now, I think there's too much influence because I honestly believe, and I think we all know, 17th in the Premier League is perfect for them two to own.
What do you think's worse? If we put out our full side and get beat, or if we put out a weakened side and get beat?
Weakened side. Because I think that will ruin.
That's worse.
Yeah, I do, because I think what that will do, that will ruin them people of getting a chance in the first team.
Maybe, mate, but I think at least then you've got an excuse. If you go and play that full side, if you go and play the same side that started on the weekend and you go and get rolled by Charlton, mate, that's I couldn't think of anything worse.
I don't think we'll see that team anyway.
Let's be honest, it could happen, couldn't it? It could easily see us getting beat.
Yeah, it could. I don't think that will happen.
Easy,
I really don't. I think
I'll
we'll
just
see.
ask a question. Well, I don't know whether you've heard anything that's going on to a different thing, but do you know anybody that has renewed their season ticket? Because what I'd be interested in is, as they're doing these refunds per game, I'd like to know anyone that had renewed for Saturday, how that whether they had to apply for it, whether it was just given directly. I just want to know how it's working with them, because I didn't renew. I just done the 30% thing, so I'd like to know the way the refunds are working game by game.
I've not.
Do you know anything about that?
I've not been refunded for last year, so I don't have a clue about this year.
Kent's renewed, and Kent will know. Let us know, Kent. What was the situation with the fact that you missed Saturday's game? How do you get your bit of scratch back, mate?
Yeah, because they'll probably make you jump through hoops to get a pound note back off them, won't they?
Apparently, auto refund within 30 days.
And I'd like to know how much they give as well.
They'll divide it. Yeah. They'll divide it by 19. That's why. See, I'll be honest now with that. Yeah, it probably will go into your club cash as well, not into your bank account. Thinking about it. So, you know, like when you don't make a game and you sell your ticket on to the club and they give you a silly amount and like a face value 60 quid, whatever. They do that because they just divide.
I thought they were differently this time.
I don't know. I haven't got a clue. I'm on about from before. I've not done nothing this year. Mine's just gone.
I'd really be interested to know how it is.
Well, it ain't gone yet. It's been extended, isn't it? The season ticket deadline till Wednesday now. They must be.
Is it really?
Yeah, they extended it from Friday because of the huge demands of people calling up. It's been extended.
Yeah, it's been extended. Yeah.
Why didn't they? Why don't they just do it online though? Make it so easy.
Mate, they're banging trouble. This is the first time that I've ever known West Ham United not to bang out tickets within no time, mate. We are the tide has turned. Like there's a switch massively. The loyalist fan base that I've ever known, who always stood by everyone and really sort of backed the team no matter what. Mate, I remember you couldn't get a ticket to save your life to any game. Now, if you want to go any game over there, mate, you can get a game on the day before, whenever you like. The tide has turned, mate. A lot of people are turning their backs on West Ham now, and I think it's putting pressure on them. I think they realise, I do genuinely think they realise that you know, everything's coming to a head now. So it'll be interesting to see what goes on.
Do you think they'll go? You must have seen the story, Steve, about the potential takeover and the rubbish on Twitter. What's your thoughts on that? Do you think they'll go?
I don't really know much about it, to be honest, mate. Everything I hear, I just take with a pinch of salt and believe it when I see it. A lot of it also could be just news that's leaked out to make people get to think, I need to buy my ticket just in case, and then nothing out there still there. I won't put anything past them, to be honest.
Yeah, I think the same as you. I do think that.
Yeah, I'll make this geezer right, though. That Kyle, he said it before, he said it again. Gold and Sullivan pulled an East End move on EastEnders. Got to give him credit, mate. I give him so much. What I thought was the most hardcore football fan base in the country. They absolutely mugged us like you couldn't believe, and we all let them do it. We let them tear our history up. We let them chuck our stadium away. We let them blow it up for a film. We let them absolutely abuse our football club, and we all stood back and watched. And I can't believe we did it.
And do you know what I was saying? I've said it 100 times, and I keep saying it. I don't wish them bad as people. I don't, if I'm honest.
I do.
Okay, listen, I might be on my own. I don't wish them bad. I don't want to see fans like the Man United one.
Mate, the thing is, I've gone. I want you to have your say, mate, but I've gone past it now.
I know.
What was my family's? It was everything to us. Every Saturday, every game, no matter what, home and away. Whether we had Chesterfield in the cup on a Tuesday night, whether we had Cardiff, no matter what, we were there. No matter what. And Steve, I know we went everywhere. Loved the club. It was everything to me. It was my life. Everything I did was geared up around West Ham United, and nothing else mattered, mate. And that has been totally torn up and thrown away. What's he got here? He's got a GSP out mask. Yes.
Legend.
We love it.
Hey, do you know what you said?
I even wrote it backwards.
Very, very talented, mate. That's special, that is. Yeah, there'll be any old... Oh, what's that? Yeah, go on, mate. No, sorry, Baz.
I agree with you with what you've said, and I do echo what you've just said there. But I will.
For me, one more point. For me, it's any means necessary now. I don't care how they leave the club. I'm not saying I wish them bad, but if something bad happened to them, so they left, I'm not gonna cry over it. For me, it's any means necessary. Gone now. Don't care what happens. Don't care how it happens. Don't care what the cause is. Just as long as they're gone, I don't care.
Yeah, I get that. I'm with you. But I will say, I don't want to. For me personally, I wouldn't do this. I said I don't want to see it. I wouldn't do it. I wouldn't go around their house. I wouldn't throw fireworks in their garden like the Man United owners had, because there are other people in the house. You know, there's still someone's dad, daughter, son, whatever, nan in there, blah blah blah. But they have to be taken out of the football club. They do. I don't wish them any success at West Ham whatsoever, and that's sad because that affects the club I support. But as businessmen, they are very, very clever, and they've done so well. It's at our expense now. That's why we can't leave it. That's why we have to make sure we're consistent, and we do everything to get them out. I don't want to. If it comes to it that their skin is that thick that this carries on for 3-4 months' time, and come Christmas they still ain't looking like budging, then maybe my opinion would change. But right now, I don't think it should be at someone's doorstep. I
just don't. No one's holding their breath, waiting for that 2-week marker to come up of when there's this magical bid that's going to appear and whatever. I hope no one's relying on that, because they'll be waiting a long time.
And I said it, and I said before, you know, all the while they're 17th. That's enough.
And do you know what? This is a really harsh comment. Right? It's actually very, very true what Mark's put up here. And, mate, no one here is saying for a second that we wish this upon anyone. And I think we've all got the utmost respect for the Leicester owners who had that tragedy happen. But he is so correct that club mourned like you wouldn't believe, because those people, mate, were loved. And what they did for that football club, people will never, ever forget. I do think if it was on the other foot, mate, I don't think anyone would go over there. I don't think Arif would be laid. I don't think. And that's, do you know what? That is sad, mate. That ain't even good. I'm not even laughing at that. That is sad. But I think he's made a very, very good point.
Yeah, no, I'll make you right.
Probably the people there from their fan that who took over the club, they'd probably start selling like replica helicopters in the club shop and that, if that happens to them.
But mate, the thing is, I do genuinely think I think Karen Brady honestly believes that one day we should build a statue of Karen Brady outside the ground. I think she genuinely believes that. I think she feels what she's done for West Ham United is miraculous.
Did you see her column yesterday?
No, I didn't, mate. I couldn't read it.
What's that?
You couldn't pay me to read it.
I've got to find this tweet before we go. Kent is probably on here already knowing the answer to this. But she wrote something, I can't remember it word for word, regarding Kim Kardashian's too busy counting cash to care if she's called names. How on earth has she got the audacity to come out and say that? How? Kim Kardashian.
Because, like I said to you, mate, I genuinely think she thinks what she's done for this club. Like, she hates Paolo Di Canio. She said, Paolo Di Canio will never work for this club on my watch. That's what she said. And she genuinely thinks she's done more for West Ham United than Paolo Di Canio. And I genuinely think she has done so much for our football club that her name should ever be remembered under West Ham United. I genuinely do think she believes that, mate. I really do.
Horrible bitch.
Which is mad, absolutely mad, because what she's done and the direction she's tried to take us in is fucking completely wrong.
Vile.
It is vile, mate. It's disgusting. Last thing we want to go through, chaps, is just on David Moyes, because a few people have been commenting it. And I know everyone says, if he weren't there, who? I know everyone says, you know, he's had a really hard time. I did feel sorry for him a week ago. I don't feel sorry for him anymore, mate. I really can't stand him. And I don't want it to distract from the board. I don't want it to take anything away from where the finger should be being pointed, because it 100% should be at them. But for me, mate, David Moyes is the right. Everyone said, I want to see what David Moyes would do in a full season. And I always said, I already know what that is, and that's get you relegated. And I still believe it right now. So do you think he should be hacked away as quickly as possible, or are you still on the side of sympathy?
I don't rate him. I made that clear. You know, when he got the job the first time.
Don't worry about not rating him. Should he be the manager, or should we get rid of him right now and get someone else in, no matter who it is?
My choice or the club's choice?
Your choice.
Yeah, he'd be gone. But he would never have got the job. Pochettino would have got the job, or Ancelotti.
Yeah, I'd have been the same. He would never have got the job.
He would never have got the job when he got it.
Eddie Howe for me. Always.
Eddie Howe, yeah. But he would never have got it back then. The problem now, right now, he has to stay. From the football club's point of view, he has to stay. Because he's the only man at the football club who's going to be a yes man to him. Do you think Pochettino would take that job if he was offered it tomorrow? What, you can come here.
The only thing that I was...
transfers, we pick your team. We tell you what players to and not to sign. They say fuck off.
I said the other week, mate, that they may be doing all of this on purpose just to get Moyes out of the club. And I said that the man who should be lined up and may already be lined up would be Eddie Howe. And I know a lot of people say he wouldn't come. I think he would. He didn't get nothing at Bournemouth. I do think it's a massive... I don't think he could have ever dreamed of having a job like that. And I know everyone says he can walk in here, there and everywhere. I don't believe it, mate. I don't think there is another club as big as West Ham that he could go and walk into tomorrow. And I do think there's half a chance that if Moyes walked away, which he never would, if we go 6 or 7 games without any points and he gets sacked, I do think he'd be the man who comes in.
Mate, Eddie Howe, with what you're saying, Eddie Howe plays away with, or played away with Bournemouth of having strength and depth. With 2 up front, he can't be back that well at West Ham. He will not take the job. He'd have the interview and he'd be asked, or he'd ask, how much is there for me?
This is brilliant. He ain't far wrong, mate, to be fair.
He'd ask, how much money is for me? He ain't going to get nothing. And this is why he won't take the job, mate.
We can't.
Huh? Steve, you've cut out.
That's decided then. We can't have him, can we?
We can't have Eddie Howe now, mate. Mr. Mace has spoken. That can't go. But he is right. Eddie Howe isn't the mentality. Mate, when you look back, and there's been some tweets coming out recently of like Billy Bonds on the sideline, and you look how much that... Look at thingy yesterday, Bielsa. Bielsa was like he was playing. He was sitting on that touchline as close as he could get on his knees, actually playing the game with the players. I'd love to see someone who's got that sort of passion again at West Ham. And Eddie Howe isn't that man. But then there is, to be, Baz, I've always said it, and I know no one will agree, but I do think the man who gets West Ham and the man who would come in with some fresh ideas and be a bit different would be Joe Cole, mate. I do think he'd be the man.
But would Joe Cole work for them?
I think he would, because it'd be his first job. I think it's too big a thing for him to turn down. At the moment, he's sitting there on BT Sport once a month. That's it. I think he would take it. I think it's too big an opportunity for him to turn down, regardless of who the board are. He's
also been quite critical of them as well, ain't he? On the thing, when he spoke out of Stan fans and all that, he has about them before. So, to be honest, I think all Joe Cole ever knocked though was the mentality of the players. I don't necessarily think he really knocked the board. I never really see him come out and say, it's GSB or it's them or it's not the investment or anything like that. I think he was just saying West Ham fans are not that hard to please. That's all he was saying. All they expect is 100% effort when you put on that West Ham shirt, and that's it. So I don't think that's against the board. I think that's more, he gets what West Ham expect, and if he can bring that mentality into the squad that we've already got, we've got half a chance of not going down this year. So I would roll the dice with him.
With David Moyes, if he stays, does he get West Ham relegated?
I think, mate, I've always said if David Moyes has a full season, he would relegate us. I've always said that.
Your opinion, Steve?
Sorry, mate.
If David Moyes keeps the job, does he get us relegated?
Nah, I lost you, mate. You're just breaking up loads.
If David Moyes gets the job or keeps the job all year, does he get us relegated? I don't think you can hear me.
I think you're saying something about David Moyes and relegated, and both them words sound like go together very well.
Spot on.
I hope if the owners of this football club are here, I hope David Moyes is our manager on the very last game. That's how bad it is, because that is what they deserve.
That's one thing I don't want. Kevin Nolan as our manager, mate. That's the last thing we need. We definitely don't need.
Nowhere near it. It's not for me.
Anything else, mate? Before we go, do you want to summarise anything? And just one point on that, that's a massive gamble. It is, but I don't think it's as big a gamble as keeping David Moyes for your manager for the full season. Because, like I said, I believe that's relegation. I think taking a gamble and Moyes keeping you up is a bigger gamble than putting Joe Cole in there.
Yeah, I think you're right. I do think right. Danny, good one. I've not watched a game of the weekend. I watched Brockenhurst on Saturday. They got beaten as well. Up the Badgers, Frank. No, they got beaten. I didn't watch a game of football.
Do you know what? A lot of people are saying it now, and Rob's just said he thinks Nolan would get the job. Do you know what? The writing's on the wall there. If Moyes goes, Nolan is the man who will get that job, isn't it?
Yeah. Wouldn't surprise you at all. Or even Stuart Pearce. They'd be that horrible. They'd do something like that behind Moyes' back. That's what they're like.
And I definitely wouldn't take Big Sam back for anyone who's asking. That's the last thing I want.
I just, I don't know.
Has Joe Cole done his badges? I think we'd give a manager the job if he's got Blue Peter badges, mate. I don't think they'd look at qualifications in too much detail.
Someone just asked about the Charlton game. I'll tell you, I think it's on through Charlton saying, isn't it? Someone put earlier on Twitter. No, do you know, the summary for me is basically after the weekend, we were at the position where I think we'd all thought we was going to be throughout the season. We ain't done nothing in the transfer window still. Keep seeing from ITKs that we're going back with another improved bid for a player that don't want to join us. We've got bigger problems, and I've said this before, as I said the other day, if you're willing to give £35 million, for example, on the centre-back, go and put 17.5 million on two full-backs. That's more important for us, having two players in the same money. I don't think that any of it's real. I don't believe it, full stop. Do I think we'll sign someone? Yes, I do. I think we'll get someone in on loan. I don't think we'll buy anyone, but I think we'll find someone somewhere on loan which we're trying to make the fans happy. Or it'll be someone around 10, 15 million quid. I don't think there'll be a lot more. Mate, it's just tough. It is tough. Colesy just put on there about the Lampard mural that's on the wall. There'll be a Paul Ince one soon. The biggest disrespect there and all, that there was something about Phil Parks on there as well, wasn't it? Look, we signed it for 10 grand or something, wasn't it?
Mm.
Just another mess up. Things are just ain't done correctly, and this is what we get every time things happen. Do you know, I could understand that thing they put out there, and even the Frank Lampard, I could understand it, but do things correctly.
What do you think of that, Steve? The Lampard big picture being on the outside of the stadium. How does that go down with you?
I didn't know anything about it, mate. That's the first I've heard of it. What's happened?
Yeah, they've basically put, for our 125th anniversary, they've put loads of iconic players around the stadium, pictures up of them. So we've got the obviously the legends, but then you've got one of Payet, which people have knocked, and also Frank Lampard Jr.
It just shows again that they don't really know what we think as fans, isn't it? They just they're so out of touch, aren't they?
That's what's on the wall. That's from West Ham fans.
It's ridiculous. I don't mind Payet being up there, to be honest, because I know he left in a way, but he's the best player I've ever seen there. And to be honest, it was them that drove him out anyway. They promised him a load of bollocks like they promised us, and he actually had the opportunity to react to it and get out of there. So I don't blame him for leaving at all. I've not got a problem with him.
No, I make you right. For Lampard, I don't like obviously what he said about West Ham as a club, or his reaction to the fans when he left. One thing I will say is I'll never ever knock his ability. Absolutely fantastic footballer, done brilliant after he left us. And there are things I remember. I won't forget obviously his words, what he called us, what he said about us, all that crap. I wouldn't have him on there personally myself. I think he's made it clear he ain't got any time for West Ham anymore. We shouldn't have any time for him. I ain't seen a picture of his old man. His old man should have 2 pictures up instead of one of him, in my opinion. His old man's a legend.
No, there must be.
Yeah, it has to. If there isn't, it's scandalous. But we're just. I ain't
to
been
be honest,
there,
mate, all them players from that generation, and most players that come through at West Ham, unfortunately, they achieve everything in their career when they leave us. And looks like Declan's going to be the same as well. You can have pictures of Rio up, you can have, but realistically, they didn't really do anything with us. And the minute they went away, we knew they had the potential to be top players. I mean, all of them, I think, won the European Cup. All of them, Carrick, Cole, Frank, and Rio, they all went and won it, but they never won anything with us. And they just get to start there. And Declan's going to be the same. He'll win things elsewhere. We can maximise the potential at our club, which when we went to this stadium, they said that was going to all end. And the days of us selling our players to our local rivals and all that were over. And signing over the ill players are over. It ain't, is it?
No. Does anyone notice? I didn't see because I didn't really watch it. Did anyone notice if they took the Academy of Football off the floor as they walk out? Needs to be replaced with GSB out. Can we do that? Can we get like a secret worker in there or something like that? Be happy to do that.
Well, your boy got in there with the shirt on when he was waving the flag. So
Cameron did, yeah. I think he wants to come on Thursday night on the phone when we do the live chat. Helicopter flying over the stadium. An airplane with a GSB sign out to do. Declan will catch.
At the end of the day, that's not a bad shout. The fact that we can't get in the ground, that ain't a bad shout, that, because they'll see that and they're in there and they're watching it. So get something over the top. Makes a lot of sense.
We're quite happy as a channel with me to get it sorted if everyone does a fundraiser for it. Can we?
Lewis John's a good point, mate. At the end of the day, are we finding everything to moan about now, the player pictures around the stadium? If times are different, then... But I think the point is the media team always seem to put out stuff that just don't understand West Ham. I think we've got plenty more players we could have put up there instead of Lampard, mate. There's plenty more other options that they could have gone with. So, to me, it's just a silly move. It's just not understanding West Ham fans, mate, and it's just adding more fuel to the fire.
Mate, Aaron's going to parachute out onto the pitch for us.
Do it. How much does he want? We'll get the money.
Madness. Do you know about moaning? That's how it's got. Yeah, and generally, I don't think people want to moan about it every day. But everything, every single time, is a fuck up. And there's nothing else to do but moan about it. You ain't going to sit and be positive about a fuck up, are you?
No.
No, we, as fans, we've had a positive come from our captain. The people in the media are taking that as a negative. because it's a reverse thingy for them, like Sky and that. And that's how it will be for us. If you think that West Ham fans want to be here, in my opinion, want to be here now, sitting moaning every week about everything, I think you're wrong. I do believe you're wrong. I don't want to do it personally, but there is nothing to sit here and talk about that's positive. I do know, and I'll speak for myself here, if West Ham were still at Upton Park this season now, as it is, I wouldn't give a shit. I wouldn't care that we'd probably be bottom after 8 games. Wouldn't be caring, because I wouldn't have been given false promises that we're going to be buying players to compete to try and get into Europe. It would be the norm for me. It'd be no different whatsoever. They're to blame. They've promised us what they can't deliver. If you can't deliver it, as Trevor Sinclair turned around and said yesterday, leave.
Well said, mate. Thank you very much, chaps. We'll be back tomorrow night for something to do with the Charlton game. Not decided what format we'll put it in yet, but we'll do something for the Charlton game. And then we'll also be back Thursday with the West Ham phone-in.
Deal. Cool. Looking forward to it. GSB banner, GoFundMe set up. Whoa.
We'll leave it on that.
Top man. Can't fly on air.